Amazon. We were at an event and we were just chatting away, and we were talking about the difference between procured services, or sometimes people will call it statement of work, versus contingent worker. And we were kind of debating back and forward, because obviously it's perfectly legitimate within a services contract, within a statement of work, that some of it might be T&M based. You know, you could have outputs that are blocks of consultant time, for example. Equally, you could have pure project deliverables, you could have KPIs, you could have sprints in an agile process. It could be a varied, that's the whole point of deliverables and milestones. They need to be flexible in nature, but clearly defined and measurable.
Yes.
And where he got to was the difference between a worker under an SOW versus a contingent labour is, under an SOW, you don't care who it is. Yeah, as in you don't care who the person is. As in, like, for a contingent worker, you're hiring Johnny Dunning, and I've got a particular set of skills, and I'm charging X amount per day. Under a services contract, there's some workers, and they might need to, if they're doing a T&M bit, it might need to be a senior consultant. But actually, you don't care whether it's Johnny Dunning or not. It just needs to be the person doing the work. But it gets complicated, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I respectfully disagree with that, because I think, again, this is a grey area. So I'm not saying we've perfected it, and I'm right. I just think it's a bit more complex than that, and I'm somebody who likes to simplify as much as possible. But I think in a statement of work, you might have a T&M basis in there, and you might have I think you do care who works on it, because I think when you choose your supplier you want to work with and you get a good one, I think you actually want to make sure that you keep Johnny Dunning on that SOW, as opposed to where they're coming via the contractor route. So I think there's a bit more of a nuance there, in a sense of, actually, we try as much as possible to name them in the SOW, so that we can make sure we keep Johnny, because we know Johnny's done a good job on this other piece of work, and actually he's worked for this services company, so we can't bring him in through another route, because you're an employee of that company that we're using for this service. So we've tried to break it down by, again, is contractor versus consultant delivery. And again, it's not perfect, but it's maybe how many people you're looking for. So where you're looking for a single resource working under a manager's jurisdiction, if you like,
direction control, basically.
Then we go to our managed service provider and use that form to bring in the worker. And when we're looking to bring in multiple people, maybe a squad, if it's a tech piece of work, or and if it's under a T&M basis, because the commercial contract is a secondary conversation, because ultimately you're saying, okay, what are you looking to deliver? Do you have a set of requirements? If you're not sure, let's put them on a T&M basis for some of it, or all of the engagements, and then you might move them on. But ultimately, you still care who you get, because if you've got a squad,
you need the right people.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to know that your supplier is putting their top team on it.
Yes,
I've heard Johnny Dunning is really good, so you need to make sure he's involved. But I always look at it very simply as, what's the contractual vehicle you're using?
Yeah.
If you're contracting under an output-based contract or a statement of work, that is what it is.
Yeah. If
you're contracting for a specific individual on a time basis, that is a different thing. So it's it's either a statement of work type contract, or it's a contractor agreement, effectively. Yeah. So I like to try and look at it as, like, where's the contract base for it? But like you say, and this is the grey area, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Where I like the fact that you're kind of pushing back on that, and you're discussing the nuances of it, because that shows that you guys are on it.
Yeah.
You're looking at it, you're assessing it, and it's an important thing. Whereas for a lot of organisations, it gets like brushed under the rug, and then you get chaos. Yeah. Where people are going, oh, there's a headcount freeze. Yeah. But I can run a PO at.
Yes. And I've seen that in the past where somebody said, okay, we need to do a headcount freeze just to control costs for a period of time. But then what you do is you have people coming around the avenue and putting a purchase order agreement in place with an SOW attached to it, and you can hide those people, which you've moved from, maybe because your contractors and your FTEs are managed tightly, but if the services side are not, then you've got leakage there. And when the CFO is looking at the books and going, okay, why have we not saved money through this hiring freeze? It's because of those back channels. If they're not controlled properly, then you're creating issues.
Yeah, and it's that whole classic squeezing the balloon type conversation, isn't it? It morphs somewhere else.
Indeed.
But the thing is, the people, the buying managers, they're just trying to get the work done, aren't they?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that it then falls into the trap if they're going down that route of a PO value is that I don't need any procurement oversight of is, I don't know, 100K or 50K or whatever it is, and every piece of work is 49K, you know.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
And some companies have pretty high limits on that. I was in the US recently, did a really interesting round table with some procurement experts of various different organizations. And for some big organizations, you know, $500,000 as basically a kind of like self sign-off purchase order is not unheard of.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of organizations, it's probably more like 250 and below, but that can mean a lot of kind of invisible leakage, basically.
Yeah. I think what we found over the years, and it's kind of nebulous what company it comes from, but I think where you need your execs to lean in is the prioritization question, because ultimately when you're looking for an external worker, it's because you don't have the internal capacity to do the day job. So you go, okay, well actually I can't do this, I need to go and bring an external worker in. But ultimately, when you've got to manage within a tight budget, financial constraints, it's then important that the senior people, whether they're exec or director level or whatever it may be, they need to set the prioritization. So you kind of go, look, I've got these 10 things on my list I need to do.
Right.
We need to prioritize 3 or 4 of them now to get these done because they're going to deliver the greatest outcome. And actually, maybe the people you're looking to hire on these and bring in through the back door, we shouldn't be doing that, because ultimately that's not part of the prioritization we need to do. And we can bring them now through the front door because we've prioritized the work we need to do and deliver, and everyone's happy that we bring these people on, regardless of the commercial constructs. You're bringing the people in externally for the right reasons to deliver to those priority points. And I think we've had great support. Actually, it's not even about great support. They've understood that, so that we can support that endeavour along the way with a mandate to do so.
Yeah, I think it's really important that you've got that mandate to do so. You've got that support. But for me, it's just business logic, really. Which is, you know, business logic is easier when you're not a giant corporation. When you're the bigger the company, the more difficult that business logic is to maintain, because ultimately the C-suite should have all the data on all the. I always refer to them as like work delivery channels. So whether you're doing it under an outsourced SOW, whether it's a contractor, whether it's an FTE, whatever the different channels are for your organisation, there might be gig workers, or there might be an AI channel, you know, in the not too distant future for some organisations. The people that are running the show need to be able to just marshal their resources. Like, what's our total capacity and capability? And I remember a CEO, I've mentioned it many times, but a CEO saying to me, Johnny, I just need to know what resources have I got, and what's the most effective use of all my resources? How can I deploy them? So again, it's very strategic, isn't it? Because you're talking about the organisation prioritising what it needs to get done. That is firstly a sign of a good organisation having a strategy, communicating the strategy. But for a lot of organisations, where they then fall down is when they need to execute on that strategy. They have a very low level of visibility on all of their channels and capability. They have suppliers all over the place that no one knows about, apart from one person who's got them in their, you know, little diary, or in their inbox, all that sort of thing. And if stuff's happening just at that PO level with very little information, you know, if a CFO then comes to a CPO and starts asking detailed questions, what are they going to do? Go and try and look back through all the scan signed PDFs that have got hardly any information? It gets pretty difficult at that point.
100%. And your tooling strategy is so important in terms of what tools you need and how you manage that workflow. Because doing it through a PO, we know it's not going to be fit for purpose, because you can't capture the level of detail you need to be able to have that visibility across what people are actually doing and where they are, let alone how much they cost per on a rate basis, rather than just a gross number on a purchase order.